start. And her first pitch just off the plate. Our home plate umpire, Steve Gould. At first base, Chris Neighbors, Dan Rogers down the third base line. Jenna Johnson leads it off for Bama to start game 2. And this is an Alabama team that until last night, Amanda, had gone 19-0 this season when scoring first. Last night they scored first and picked up their first loss. Handcuffed, playable behind the plate, and it is made by Sarah Gordon. One down in the first.
Yeah, Lindy Ray Davis got the start for Georgia back behind the plate last night, and Sarah Gordon getting the call here in game 2. We actually have 2 different catchers here in game 2. Lily Backus will get the start, the transfer from North Carolina, who's thrown so many quality innings for Georgia already this season. And she can spin it. She's not going to overpower you with a ton of velocity. She doesn't have a big stature. You see that she comes from the left-hand side, but it is her spin with her rise, her curve, and her changeup that makes her who she is.
Bunt opportunity here, but well played by Emily Digby. Getting it over to Sydney Kuma, covering first base, quickly 2 gone.
But you asked Tony Baldwin the other day, if Lily Backus is pitching, the bases are loaded, full count, tie game, what pitch is she going to go to? It is going to be that changeup. She has one of the best changeups in the SEC. It is her best pitch. She can move it down. She can throw it for a strike, throws it consistently to both left-handed hitters and right-handed hitters. That is a pitch that these hitters are going to have to deal with all throughout this game.
And now it's Abby Dukeshire for Alabama with 2 down and nobody on here in the top of the first. You know, Lily Backus coming over, it's the second straight year that they've added a new ace-level pitcher to this staff, Amanda, and it just continues to decrease the pressure on others. Lily Backus has added a dynamic that they haven't had here in a couple of seasons.
It just adds depth to this Georgia pitching staff and makes them harder to prepare for coming into a series or into a pre-conference tournament. Last year, of course, they relied heavily on Madison Kerpix and Shelby Walters, and the year before that, it was all Kerpix. So as the years have gone on, they've added an arm in the circle that has given them depth and different looks and more strength.
The 1-2 to Dukeshire. Dukeshire has seen the ball really well to start the season. Coming into the series, her 27 hits leading the team. And at times, against top-level competition, Bama has struggled to manufacture runs. We saw that in their 2 losses against Florida in their opening weekend of SEC play. Check swing, and it will not be caught on a diving effort by Digby. So Dukeshire stays alive.
Yeah, they've had a really challenging week these past 10 days, Alabama has, with who they've been playing. They had to play Arizona and then Florida in Tuscaloosa and then Florida State, a midweek game in Tallahassee on Wednesday, and then they come here to play a top 5 team in Georgia.
10-game stretch where 9 of the 10 games are against top 25 opponents.
That's a lot. They have definitely been challenged, and then even they have Virginia Tech next weekend on their bye weekend. Usually you think
that's a heck of a bye weekend.
Yeah, it might be a little bit easier, but playing a ranked and home run hitting Virginia Tech team.
Good battle here between Backus and Dukeshire. That's just sort of what you come to expect, though, from Bama, right? Challenging themselves year after year with one of the top schedules in the country.
Always really good about doing that. And when you get to the SEC, your schedule doesn't lighten up much at all, if at all.
Dukeshire goes down on strikes. Backus, a 1-2-3 inning to start.
ERA on the season for Jayla Torrance in her senior season. That is well down from her career ERA in an Alabama uniform.
First pitch to Lindy Ray Davis is a strike. And it's an Alabama staff, obviously, that loses the great one in Fouts, and yet has been even better this year to start than they were last year, on a rocket up the middle by Lindy Ray Davis in a leadoff single for Georgia.
Yeah, interesting move that Tony Baldwin did about a week ago to move Lindy Ray Davis to the leadoff spot. She has had quite the offensive season, taken a lot of walks, continued to find a way to get on base, hit some important home runs, and leads off this game with a single, shortening up right back up the middle.
He joked with us, nobody really wants to bat leadoff because of the pressure, but she has embraced it and been terrific.
Really good eye at the plate, puts together quality at bats, and then Sarah Mosley gets to hit in the 2 spot, which is where she feels the most comfortable. But Lindy Ray Davis is a leadoff batter. All she's doing is getting on base more than 50% of the time, drawing 10 walks. It's been since March 8th, about 7 games.
Had 20 walks all of last year. It's been remarkable, her maturity at the plate, and now hands the bat to Sarah Mosley, who had an RBI single last night to extend Georgia's lead to 4-2. Mosley, one of a number of returners from last year's Georgia team that made it to the Super Regional, ultimately falling to Florida State, and she hammers one into right field, but right into the mitt of Kendall Clark, one away.
Really good swing by Sarah Mosley, just right at Kendall Clark, out in right field, but you can tell these first 2 at-bats off of Jayla Torrance, Georgia is seeing Jayla Torrance well.
As a pitcher, did you feel that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They need to use that changeup a little bit earlier.
Oh boy, Kearney into right field and gone. Jada Kearney, how do you do?
It's a 12th home run of the season for Jada Kearney. And Georgia and Jada Kearney specifically love to use the right side of the field. Some teams that you'll see will be more pull side hitters. This Georgia team has so much power to the right side, the opposite field side, for these right-handed hitters that are all throughout their lineup. Most home runs in the SEC is off the bat of Jada Kearney so far this year, hitting that 3 spot and giving Georgia the early lead.
And now Sydney Kuma in the cleanup spot with the bases empty. You just said a minute ago, first 2 batters, hard hit balls off the arm of Torrance. And you felt that as a player. So when you know the opponent is hitting you early, how does that affect what you have to do to change, Amanda?
Throw the changeup more often. That might have been a pitch that Lance McMahon and the Alabama pitching staff, the pitching coach Lance McMahon, I should say, may have gone, you know what, let's try to save that changeup until second time through the order. But I'd like to start seeing it now. Curveball right there. She throws with good velocity in the upper 60s, but just to give them a different look, a different speed, because they're catching up with the speed that she's throwing right now.
This Georgia team, as we talked about at the top of the show, leading the SEC now with 46 home runs. And Tony Baldwin joked that if they hadn't gone out to Stanford, where the ball was just dying in the outfield, he feels like his team would be leading the country in home runs right now.
I lost a couple of games out there on the West Coast. And every field plays a little different. You know, their home field here is 190 down the lines and 220 to center field. So 190 is really shorter down the lines. Gives them a lot of opportunity to hit home runs, but also talk to us about how the wind has changed here at this field.
Kuma to second, and Haviland on to first, 2 away.
So if you are a softball fan, have been watching a lot of SEC softball games and have seen games here at this park, that you know that this park used to have all these beautiful trees behind the outfield, and that is kind of what this field was known for. Like, you thought about Georgia softball and the field here in Athens, and you thought about all the big, beautiful trees behind the outfield, but with the construction, those trees are gone, and it's affected what Coach Tony thinks has affected the wind and maybe knocked some more balls into the ballpark instead of letting them rip out.
Sydney Chambly at the plate. Yeah, instead of the big, beautiful trees, it's now a big, beautiful, soon-to-be outfield. And a massive upgrade to this program's facilities. And they expect that facility out in left field to be done late summer, early fall. It'll house locker rooms, hitting facility, and a host of other tools for this program that just continues to be a national power year after year. Two-two, launched into center field. Back on it is Johnson, and she makes the catch a step in front of the wall. But Jada, at which she was so successful as a player.
Yeah, huge move for her. She coaches first base now, but going from Oregon back to Tuscaloosa with her family, her girl Dylan and her husband. But I think that Kayla has made an impact with Alabama already this year, both with their outfield play, but also their energy. Like, I watched Alabama play the first weekend, and they look different to me. And I mean, I might be biased because I'm good friends with Kayla, and she's our former colleague here at ESPN, but I think that she's already made this competitive, energetic impact on this team. And the way that their outfield's been playing, too, I think is a reflection of her coaching, too.
Marley Giles at the dish, leading things off for the Tide, down 2-0 to start the top of the second. You add all that in also with the success that she had here as a player, but then her team in 2012. What does that do for players who are on the roster right now, being coached by somebody that's done it at the highest level at your school previously?
Yeah, just adds so much respect. I mean, you look up to the players that came before you. It happened to me looking up to players that came before me that wore an A&M uniform. And Alabama is a program that is so deep and rich in tradition and in culture that they build. And I know that not only is Kayla Breaux helping the outfielders and base runners and hitting, but she's also helping that culture piece that Alabama is so well known for. And I will tell you, she is competitive. Like, I didn't even play it with Kayla, but just from being around her at the field, she's so competitive. And when you can have a 30-year-old former player coaching your team for these players to look up to, who adds that competitive spirit and what it takes to just want to win, bleeds into every part of your program.
Well, Marley Giles putting together a pretty competitive at-bat here for Bama. When the top of the order was set down 1-2-3 in the first by Lily Backus. And you can see her stepping out of the box and looking up the first base line, at times checking on what Kayla Breaux has to say.
Yeah, they've had a couple of really long at-bats. Dukeshire to end the inning, and she ended up striking out on a changeup. And this at-bat here by Giles, who's already 22 pitches thrown, and an out hasn't been recorded yet in the top of the second inning, despite that 3-up, 3-down inning.
Ninth pitch of the at-bat, misses low and away. And the first runner aboard this afternoon for Alabama.
And that's something that Kayla Breaux told me that she's noticed about their lineup, is just their pitch selection has been better. Saw it with that take right there, the confidence to take a pitch that's close, but a borderline ball strike, but you trust your eyes to take that pitch to draw a leadoff walk. Could be important in this inning for Alabama to try to answer back.
Bailey Dowling with one on and nobody out. Rips it to short. And Armistead didn't have a play at first, but was right didn't have to move, I don't think, to make that play.
That's exactly what I noticed too. Georgia so well positioned. You see where Ellie Armistead starts. She's more up the middle of the field. There's actually a big gap through the 5-6 hole with Sarah Mosley playing the line. Ellie Armistead right up the middle of the field, goes right to her. She didn't even have to move. Playing catch with Bailey Dowling.
Well, Kenley Cahalan homered in the second inning last night, giving Alabama the early lead. And prior to last night, they were 19-0 when scoring first. But of course, Georgia came roaring back with a pair of home runs and ultimately won game one 4-2. Cahalan has a chance here to do some damage with a runner aboard. And that is what Pat Murphy told us coming into the game today. Timely hitting would be key.
And you'll notice too that Kenley Cahalan likes to get right on top of the plate. Before she had that first strike, her toes and her feet were actually on top of the white line. When she got that strike, backed off just a tad, maybe even a little bit more now that she has 2 strikes to open up that inside corner. Lefty on lefty matchup, of course, and Lily Back is not scared to try to find that inside corner despite Cahalan crowding the plate.
Back is coming off an outing against Georgia Tech in which she took a no-hit bid into the 5th. 2-2, catches the outside corner. It's the second strikeout of the day for Lily Backus.
Lily Backus was able to work both corners within this at-bat to Cahalan. The inside early and then the outside corner late. I mean, that curveball is absolutely perfectly spotted right at the knees, just off the corner, and she gets a call from the home plate umpire.
So 2 down now for Kendall Clark. And the first pitch misses low. Clark in her first season at Alabama, transferring over from a junior college in Des Moines, Iowa. Incredibly athletic, raw talent. Pat Murphy really excited about her future in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, she played 6 sports?
6 sports in high school, man. How is that even possible?
I don't know how you have time for all of that, to be honest, but also just the athletic talent it takes to do that.
High pop-up will get out of play. The most excited I saw Pat Murphy today was when he talked about Kendall Clark as a high school wrestler pinning her opponent in 6 seconds. He was giddy about telling us that story.
Big smile on his face talking about her and finding her, bringing her to Alabama.
The 2-2 from Backus. Clark will line it out of play. Told us she is an absolute gym rat and wants to be getting cuts. If she could just skip sleeping and just take cuts at the practice facility, she'd do that.
You have those teammates, you know, that just want to spend every waking hour when you're not studying, not in class, not showering or sleeping, and not in games. You just want to be in the cages, feeling your swing, finding your rhythm, finding your confidence, feeling prepared.
Lays off the 2-2 upstairs. Full count to Clark, who is the tying run at the plate here in the top of the second.
Put together already, Alabama has some really good at-bats. A lot of looks off of Backus.
Clark out of play. Foul.
We saw both teams use 3 pitchers in the game yesterday, and likely to see that again.
We even saw Backus last night for 2/3 of an inning. Picked up a pair of strikeouts. The payoff. Wow, what an eye by Kendall Clark. And continues the inning. We've seen a pair of walks now from Backus here in the second. And that extends the inning for Riley Valentine.
Just great at bats that both Marley Giles and Kendall Clark put together to be able to draw those walks. And the pitches that they took on ball 4 were not blatant balls, but close pitches that they just believed in what they saw out of the hand of Backus to confidently take it and draw those walks.
So the tying run is aboard now for Valentine.
I think this could be a big at bat for Riley Valentine. Transfer from Texas A&M that is not an everyday starter for Alabama. She's gotten some opportunities, but had a great freshman year at Alabama and the playing time, or excuse me, at A&M, the playing time she had. And then she pops out.
Handcuffed to first.
But she had a great opportunity to try to class. I mean, it's not just the 4 that we showed. Look at all the senior leadership that they have and the experience. Close to 4,000 at-bats that they bring back into this season. All that experience adds up to calmness, confidence, patience, and hopefully a good postseason for Georgia. I'm sure they're hoping.
Well, pretty much everybody in this program talked about the hunger that existed after that loss to Florida State in the Super Regional and how much conviction there was from every player on the roster who was returning to go that extra step to ultimately get to the Women's College World Series here in 2024. Rio count from Torrance.
I mean, this is
incredible.
All that they return. 96% of their home runs, 97% of their RBI, and then in the circle even, return 90% of the innings pitched, and you add Lily Backus. So that's why this Georgia team had such high expectations for them, for people all, I mean, for themselves, of course, but for people all across the country and the media, just looking at Georgia with their veteran experience, what they've done, who they're bringing back, and putting them as a top 5 team early.
Sarah Gordon at the dish after an Armstead walk to start the inning. In the first, we saw Georgia make hard contact multiple times, including a 2-run homer by Jada Kearney, giving the Dogs a 2-0 lead.
It's like in this at bat, Jayla Torrance had that one close miss that she didn't get a called strike, and since then some big misses well off the plate with her curveball, that pitch there well low in the zone. Good pitch right there. It's like a backdoor. That's a same looking pitch that she threw earlier in the count. Good spot there in the inside corner. Looks like a backdoor curveball that she's throwing. She's trying to find that consistency and trying to work with the home plate umpire to see what he's going to call today.
3-2. Hammered into right field and a foul ball. Well, you talked about it in the first inning, Amanda, the importance of Jayla's curveball and being able to work both sides of the plate. That will determine how much success she's able to have against a Georgia team that has had uber hot bats to start the season.
Well, and they look like they're prepared for her curveball. Well, I'd like to see that change up a little bit more. But their best swings are off of her curveball.
It's a Georgia team that's won 7 games in a row, including game 1 last night against Bama. And Gordon draws the second consecutive walk to start the bottom of the second.
It wasn't a reaction to what happened last year, just, you know, the strength of our team. It was just already put together for a while, but they, the strength of schedule they have is Very intense. One of the best.
Coming into the series 7th in the country.
That's right.
In strength of schedule. And you already saw 10 games already this year against ranked opponents, 7 wins in those 10 meetings.
Well, and he told us before the Clearwater tournament back in February, this year we want to be the best team in the country. And to do that, you have to play the best. So putting together a schedule that challenges this experienced team and gets them prepared for the postseason. They don't, when you have the expectations of a team like this Georgia team, you're not just hoping to make it to Supers. You are hoping to make it to the Women's College World Series and frankly have a shot at winning it.
Digby, a pop up to the right side of the infield. And Heveland there to put it away, 1 down. And in the 9 spot, here comes Dallas Goodnight. Corner infield drawn in.
I mean, think about, too, the pitchers that they've faced, Matt, in this competitive schedule. They faced Valerie Cagle. They faced Nigeri Kennedy. They faced Lindsey Grind from Virginia Tech. I mean, they faced Taylor Tinsley at UCLA. They faced Lexi Kilfoyle at Oklahoma State. I mean, they have faced top arm after top arm this year and they still put up the numbers that they've put up to this point in the season.
There's a level of confidence because of all those experiences against top arms. You look at it there on your screen that Tony Baldwin told us, we just have an ability this year to stay with it in at-bats and throughout the course of 7 innings.
I mean, those are all quality arms that they have faced this year when you see on that list. And it wasn't just like a list of 4. And no. It was a list of 8 or 9 different pitchers, including Caleb Beaver last night that they faced, who has one of the lowest ERAs in the country. And Jayla Torrance, who's put together quite a senior season.
Caleb Beaver had only allowed 5 earned runs all year before last night, and Georgia tagged her with 3. Another 3-2 from Torrance. Part of that, too, though, goes back to what we talked about, the amount of at-bats that this lineup has experienced over the course of their careers. There's probably nothing they haven't seen at this point in their collegiate career.
Both teams early in this game have had a lot of good at-bats, a lot of long at-bats.
Two on, 1 out for Goodnight. Continues to battle.
Important at bat for Jayla Torrance to try to get an out here with the top of the lineup on deck for Georgia with Lindy Ray Davis sitting there.
Goodnight, high fly ball, shallow left field, and making the play is Kenley Cahalan.
Very good freshman year. Came out really hot early in the season, too. Then unfortunately couldn't pitch for a few weeks because of an injury and then got thrown into the fire when she came back in SEC play against Florida last weekend.
Taking on Lindy Ray Davis here. And we did see Brisky last night in game 1, went 1 2/3 with a strikeout, gave up 2 hits. Pat Murphy really pleased with how she bounced back from her return against Florida. And the 2-0 misses low.
Just clip the outside corner there. She'll work a little bit more up in the zone, go with her rise ball. Curveball as well. Worked on a drop ball with Lance McMahon in the fall when she came in as a freshman. but gonna have a little bit more natural upspin to her pitches. Really true spin, very smooth. Gets herself back into the count here.
Three-two to Lindy Ray Davis, who's already singled this afternoon. Misses in the dirt, and now the bases are loaded for Sarah Mosley in the second. Three walks drawn in the inning by Georgia hitters.
Now batting third base number 33, Sarah Mosley.
Mosley already with 1 run driven in this series. And you talked early, Amanda, about the shakeup of the batting order. Mosley in the 2 spot. Had an 8-game hit streak going at one point before the Furman game, and here she is driving it deep right field. See you later, a grand slam for Sarah Mosley.
Where this Georgia team leads the SEC in home runs. They have hit 2 today, both toward the right side of the field from their right-handed hitters. Kearney hit the first, and now Sarah Mosley. You got to give a little bit of an assist to Lindy Ray Davis, new to that leadoff spot, to draw the walk, to put the bat in the hands of Sarah Mosley. Prolific RBI generator and home run hitter for Georgia in her time. Beautiful swing. They just dominate. Power on the right side, the opposite field side. Quickly, 6 runs.
Kearney homered her first time up. Gave Georgia the 2-0 lead in the first. Bases empty here and 2 down. And Mosley came into the series with 35 RBI, second in the SEC. She already has 5 in the series as Kearney goes.
A couple of softball sisters with Lauren and Jenna. Hit 9 and 1 in today's order, and they're the first pair of sisters to play at Alabama. They also have a sister, Alyssa, who is the twin sister of Lauren, goes to Alabama, does not play softball. But there, you know, you said that there's standing room only here today, and there are so many young softball girls. I mean, I see one doing a pitching motion right here down to my right. Like, there's so many young softball players in their uniforms coming to the game today.
Johnson on a roller to second, 1 away, and now her sister Jenna will flip the lineup second time through.
And that's how these sisters started. You know, they were young with, you saw them in their cute little pictures, wearing their uniforms, going to tournaments and games and late practices and lessons. And getting to play together just must be so cool. And not just play together, you know, when you're on your Little League All-Star team, and that's great too, but to get to wear a college uniform and be on the same team together with that sister bond must be so cool for them and their parents too.
Not just any uniform. Alabama softball. And we had a chance to talk with Kayla Bro just about the sister dynamic, with them being the first sisters ever to play for Alabama together. As Jenna pops it up left side and handled easily by Mosley, 2 gone. And Kayla told us that it's funny because sometimes they'll look out when Lauren is on deck and Jenna is at the plate, or vice versa, and they're like mirror images of each other when they swing the bat. Callie Hevelin at the dish for the Tide with 2 down and the bases empty. Down 0-2. Homered last night in the 5th to draw Bama a little bit closer. But ultimately, Georgia last night in Game 1 just had the better of the timely at-bats. And Backus now has 3 straight innings with a strikeout, a 1-2-3 third for the North Carolina BI already has 5, and we're not even through the second game yet.
Yeah, now has over 200 career RBI in a Georgia uniform. Most career RBI on the team.
Jocelyn Erickson of Florida led Mosley coming into the weekend by just 1 RBI. I have a feeling that after the weekend's over, it's going to be Mosley at the top of the leaderboard.
Against the Alabama pitching staff that's had
been
the
terrific.
best ERA.
So what does that tell you, Amanda? Because this Alabama team, as you talked about, coming into the series, leading the SEC in ERA, but it's been the Georgia Bats that have won that battle so far.
Yeah, I think that because of how Georgia has tested themselves in February and early March, that they're prepared for this.
Chambly right back to the circle, handled by Brisky. 2 gone.
And I also think that it's been a grind of the past 10 days for Alabama pitching as well, with the hitters that they facing a good Arizona offense, and then the Florida hitters on a Saturday, Sunday, Monday series, and then the Florida State team on Wednesday. Just been a lot thrown at these pitchers who, coming into this year, really didn't have a lot of SEC experience because they relied so heavily on Montana Fouts in the past.
Armistead takes it into right field and tails foul. That is a great point. Last year, Montana Fouts accounted for 50% of the team's innings pitched. Now there is no more Montana Fouts. It feels like she was there for a decade, and so Alabama's still adjusting to what life looks like after one of the best pitchers in the history of the game. Oh, by the way, all was still the same expectations around the program as they have every single year. The 0-2.
Yeah, and even talking to pitching coach Lance McMahon before the game, he said, you know, earlier this season we had a lot of strikeouts, and then with this schedule that we've played, those strikeout numbers have gone down. We were going deeper into counts trying to get that strikeout, but had to change our philosophy just to try to pitch to contact and get some quicker outs. And I thought that was just such a good on-the-fly adjustment, talking to him of communicating that to the pitchers of, hey, this is kind of what we were used to earlier in the season, but now we have to pivot and try to go at things a little bit different, in a different way, knowing that we will not get as many strikeouts.
Two and 2 to Armistead, who walked in her first plate appearance. Lifts one into center field. Playable for Johnson at a 1-2-3 inning for Johnson. Heading with Alabama head coach Patrick Murphy. Coach, thanks for your time. What would you like to see from your hitters here, second time through the order?
We need to lay off the high stuff a little bit and zone down a little bit. And obviously, we need to break up the no-hitter, so I appreciate you bringing that up. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah, it's so
You
good
too,
to see
Coach.
you, too, and be here in person. And, Coach, you guys have had just a really kind of grind of the past 10 days with the schedule that you've put together, including Virginia Tech next weekend. What's the message to your team during this type of scheduling?
Just keep improving, you know, and we're going to see so many good pitchers, Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Virginia Tech. I mean, it's I know it's a tough schedule, but that's what you're here for. You know, we're playing for May and June, not now. So we're playing for the future.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thanks for being here, you guys. Thank you.
Well, he's hoping we just provided a little broadcaster jinx,
I think
Amanda,
so.
with the no-hitter.
We're picking up what he was putting down.
Always enjoy the opportunity to chat with him. Just one of the great champions of the game and such a promoter of collegiate softball. And every year, it always seems like Alabama's in the top 10 in strength of schedule. He is not afraid to play the best teams in the country like Alabama is doing. You just referenced it, 9 of their 10 games during this stretch against ranked opponents. And now it's Abby Dukeshire Second time through, trying to break up Lily Backus's no-hitter. The only two Alabama hitters to get aboard were Giles and Clark, and they were on walks back in the second inning.
A big offensive improvement from Dukeshire to put her right there in the 3 spot. And Coach Murphy said, I attribute that just to her strength. She's gotten a lot stronger from last year to this year.
Homered against Florida and Florida State. And another player in this Alabama lineup that was an incredible high school athlete was the North Dakota Gatorade Player of the Year in high school basketball. And there's the improvement that you talked about.
Get more playing time, and that average is up, and just the home runs. I mean, no home runs last season, 6 home runs this year, 24 RBI. And hard to believe, but Coach Murphy said that he saw her in a Colorado tournament when she was in 7th grade. This is back in the days of very early recruiting that, thank goodness, is no longer a part of our game the way that it used to be. But
Dukeshire into left field. Charging on, but can't get there is Chambly, and there's your first hit of the game for the Alabama Crimson Tide. You're very welcome, Patrick Murphy.
Sydney Chambly, because of the power that Dukeshire has, is playing pretty deep, took a couple of steps back and then across, and then was trying just to catch back up, and the wind is kind of blowing from left to right, so maybe knocked it down just a little bit, but surprised to see that one in the air for so long and not get caught.
When you said it's hard to believe, I thought you were going to tell the story that Patrick Murphy said the first time he ever saw her in high school, she hit a home run.
Yes.
And every other game he went to during her high school career, he claims she also homered.
He's a good luck charm.
Here is Marley Giles. So what does that do, Amanda, for a team at the plate where you haven't been able to get a hit a full time through the order, and then your leadoff hitter in the 4th inning, second time through, is able to get aboard with a base hit?
Well, despite it just having eyes and being one that just falls in, it still is something that just gives the rest of the dugout confidence to just see the hit now on the board and feel like you can break through. A couple of other harder hit balls that have gone at the Georgia defenders, but Lily Backus just answers right back with strikeout of Marley Giles. That curveball that worked up and in on the hands. That was such good placement with 2 strikes.
Now batting third baseman, number 7, Bailey Dowling.
And now Bailey Dowling. I was just going to ask you, as a pitcher, I don't know how aware you are of a no-hit bid this early in the game, but how does it affect you? And clearly not very much for Lily Backus.
Yeah, this early wasn't looking too much into it at all. Not like Coach Murphy was during her interview, that's for sure.
It's always the opposing coach that notices it more, right?
Yeah, trying to jinx it early. Don't want that to go along too far or too deep into the game. That changeup has been something that Lily Backus has used a lot more this second time through the order. We talked about Kayla Bro over on the first base side, or coaching first, I should say, for Alabama. And then, of course, Georgia has Chelsea Wilkinson, who wore a Georgia uniform, so a former player on the Georgia side as well.
Dowling goes down swinging. Back-to-back strikeouts for Lily Backus after giving up the first hit of the game to Alabama.
Yeah, it's not a surprise to me that she's starting to pile up more strikeouts the second time through the order because she is using that changeup more. Strikeout on the changeup completely fooled the senior in Bailey Dowling.
Fly ball to center. Good night shielding the sun and can't catch the ball. In from first base comes Dukeshire, and Bama is on the board for the first time this afternoon.
So a couple of fly balls that shoulda, coulda been outs in this inning, but will lead to a run for Alabama. A couple of fly balls with eyes that just fall, and you said it, Dallas Goodnight just trying to fight the sun. Thought she was underneath it. It falls. Alabama scores and breaks up the no-hitter and the shutout in the same inning.
And now here comes Tony Baldwin out of the Georgia dugout, just trying to calm everybody down. Hit. So 2 hits in the inning for Bama after none through the first 3 innings. And now Kendall Clark at the dish, who walked her first time up against Backus in the second.
Wouldn't be surprised if she quickly goes back to this changeup on an 0-2 count. You could just see how quick Kendall Clark is on that inner half. That left front hip opens up so quickly to try to be quick on the inside corner. Goes to her rise. I'd like to see that changeup again.
Already 5 strikeouts in the game for Backus, 2 in this inning. The 1-2.
She's so quick on that inner half, Kendall Clark is, and she's just expecting something there, trying to get in her hands. That's why it really opens up that changeup on the outside corner. Probably could put it anywhere and be able to get her.
That time goes low and away and misses out of the zone.
And it was that changeup, just ended up having a good take by Kendall Clark to make an adjustment in this AB.
6th strikeout of the game for Backus. And she gets out of the jam. Bama's Tony Baldwin, the Bulldogs head coach. Coach, how about this crowd, man? Standing room only for SEC opening weekend.
Yeah, just really thankful. With the construction, parking, and getting in is kind of a pain in the rear end. So really thankful for all these fans coming out. This is what college softball should be all about. Great day, great crowd, and 2 good teams going at it.
Yeah, beautiful day. Coach Sarah Mosley had the grand slam. She seems to be seeing the ball well. What do you like about her at-bats and the way she's approaching them right now?
I think she's just playing with a lot of trust right now. She's allowing herself to feel the pitch. She's swinging at good pitches, and those 2 things usually amount for success for her.
Well, that's been contagious, Coach, because it seems like everybody's swinging the bat pretty well for you right now. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
It was a big pickup for Alabama. She pitched last night.
And that was great to see, because we weren't sure we would see her in this series after the apparent injury to her glove hand in the previous game against Florida State. She exited that game, in fact. But last night went 4 1/3, giving up 3 earned runs to this Georgia offense that has been on a tear. And Sarah Gordon leads it off here in the 4th. Gordon drew 1 of 3 walks for this Georgia offense last inning. Ahead in the count 3-0. And we'll take a strike on the inside corner. Second walk drawn of the day by Sarah Gordon.
And it's been a bit of a tighter strike zone, you might say. I can tell both pitchers and kind of coaches just trying to figure it out, ask questions to their catcher and their pitcher as well, just to see, hey, where is that? Is it a little high? Is it a little in? Where can we get a called strike?
Digby at the dish now for Georgia, with Gordon over at first, and Lance McMahon coming out of the Alabama dugout. Maybe talking through a little bit of that tight window that you just referenced a moment ago.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's happening. Looked like he just, with his hand, referenced a curveball, so it could have been a miss on that ball that went low and just trying to help her make an adjustment, but also just the importance of, hey, we got to throw strikes. Down by 5 runs right here, we have to find a way to get outs and give our offense a chance to come in and score some runs and keep the score where it's at.
How difficult is it to come into a game midway through when there is maybe a little bit of a tighter strike zone and try to figure out that on the fly when your team is trailing?
It is not an easy task at all. Got to figure it out on the fly and make small little adjustments. That's the part about being a pitcher with a smaller strike zone, is that it's about little incremental adjustments and not making such a big adjustment that then the pitch that you throw goes over the heart of the plate and then they crush it for a home run. You really have to be able to not just work inches but work centimeters to find the zone.
2-0 does find the zone for strike one against Emily Digby. It's got to be a mental battle too, right? Just thinking that you're hitting the zone but you're not.
I talk about the seniors a lot for Georgia, and rightfully so. Just a lot of experience and veterans on the team, but Emily Digby, a freshman that they are very high on. Plays shortstop, but they have her working over at first base because Armistead, of course, is in the 4 or 5 year shortstop for Georgia.
Digby goes down on strikes, 1 away.
Ended up going right back to that changeup that we showed you. That pitch just is so deceptive out of her hand. It is spinning like crazy, and it looks like it's a pitch that's going to be faster than what it actually is.
And now Dallas Goodnight, who began her career at Alabama. Played in all 55 games there her freshman year. Was highly recruited by Georgia out of high school and had a lot of connections to the Athens area. Her brother graduated from UGA, ultimately decided to transfer and come here to Georgia, where she has been a mainstay in center field for Tony Baldwin's club. Lays off the 1-2.
Yeah, and I don't know what it's like to transfer and play your old team, but I would have to imagine that no matter how long you've been away from them, it still is just a little weird, a little awkward.
Well, yeah, you're sitting in the dugout staring at old teammates, old coaching staff.
Yes, you all have relationships with from when you were getting recruited.
But that is the way nowadays in collegiate athletics. Probably a lot of that going on all over the place as Goodnight draws a walk, and that is the second of the inning. And we go back to the top of the order now for Lindy Ray Davis.
Yeah, I remember in that grand slam inning, the 3 runners that were on board when Sarah Mosley hit that grand slam were on via a walk.
5 walks now issued by Alabama pitching. First time for Ailey Johnson facing the top of this Georgia batting order that has been incredibly productive today. 2 homers produced by the top 3 hitters, plus a walk and a base hit. And Lindy Ray has been seeing the ball as good as any hitter in the country as of late.
6 home runs this season. 4 of the 6 home runs have been versus top 25 teams. A couple of go-ahead home runs against UCLA and Virginia Tech, and the one against Oklahoma State was actually a game-tying home run, but also has a home run this year against Nigel Kennedy, which that alone could just be a one-liner like on your resume. I've hit a home run off of Nigel Kennedy, the end. Hard to do. But it seems like her home runs have come at important times for Georgia this season.
Takes the 3-2 up the middle and into center field. They will wave around Gordon. And there's no play at the plate. An RBI single for Lindy Ray Davis.
Just seeing the ball so well. This is a changeup. She is not fooled at all. Picks it up out of the hand, and I don't know if Georgia has already picked Johnson's changeup and relayed that information, or if she just noticed it as a hitter who is just seeing the ball so well right now. She crushed that ball. Georgia looking to score the 2 runners that are in scoring position right now, because then they'd be up by 8 and just be 3 outs away from winning this game in run rule fashion at the top of the 5th.
Yeah, Lindy Ray Davis has reached base all 3 times today. 2 singles, a walk, a run batted in, and 2 runs scored. And now Emma Castori comes on as a pinch runner for that exact reason that you just mentioned. Here is Mosley. Who has already homered in her first career grand slam back in the 2nd inning. If Lindy Ray Davis has been seeing it as well as anyone in the country, then so has Mosley, as that just missed being a fair ball on a rope down the 3rd base line.
And you can tell, too, that she's just seeing the ball so well. And the game against Georgia Tech, whenever she had 2 home runs in one game, hit a towering foul home run ball down the left field line. That, of course, was foul, so she stayed in. And then hit a real home run to right center.
Mosley to left field. At the wall. And caught on the track by Johnson. But both runners will tag, so Goodnight comes in to score.
I mean, I thought that was going to be another one. And Coach JT D'Amico on the Georgia coaching staff says that Sarah Mosley has light tower power. And I think that was just a sacrifice fly, but that went all the way up to the top of the light towers and looked like it was going to get out of here. She tomahawked that ball. That was a rise ball that she hit with her, I mean, just so high. Jenna Johnson able to track that down for an important out.
Umpires are getting together on something here. With an 8-1 Georgia lead in the bottom of the 4th. 2 outs for Jada Kearney, who has also homered this afternoon.
Yep, it looks like, as I'm reading his mouth, tag up. So questioning.
And they're going to review this here.
Whether the runner at 3rd left early or not.
Ruling on the field is that the runner at 2nd base tagged up and advanced to 3rd. Alabama is challenging the ruling of the legal tag up at 2nd base. The play is under further review.
So could have potentially questioned the runner at 3rd leaving early, but they're actually going to question the runner at 2nd that advanced to 3rd if she left early. So we'll take a look at that runner at 2nd base. As does not look like she left early at all. Neither of them did. But if you have 2 challenges and you haven't used either of them,
why
and you
not?
know that is potentially the game-winning run that is at 3rd base right now because of the run rule, then why not just see if you can just find something that maybe happened. You could get a quick out.
After further review, the runner left on time. The runner is safe at 3rd base.
And that is the pinch runner, the freshman Emma Castori, who came on for Lindy Ray Davis.
I would imagine if you're Castori, your heart probably stops for a second thinking, did I leave early? Oh my gosh, now they're going back. They're looking at just me. Like, did I do something wrong? Like, I think genuinely my heart would be beating so fast in that situation, thinking I did something wrong.
Jada Kearney takes a strike. Run rule at play here with a runner at 3rd. to be up by 8 or more runs after 5 innings. Kearney with a 2-run bomb in the first, struck out her second time up. This is the first time, though, that she's faced Ailey Johnson. Third pitcher used by Alabama this afternoon. The 1-2. Kearney sprays it to the right side and into the mitt of Abby Dukeshire. So and will take on Riley Valentine to start the 5th. Only run she's given up in the game was on a fly ball to center field that Dallas Goodnight couldn't track because she was staring right into the sun. Almost a play at short by Armistead, and instead it trickles into left field, a base hit for Valentine. So second time through, Bama starting to make more contact against Backus, certainly than we saw in the first couple of innings.
I liked how Coach Baldwin, when talking about Lily Backus, talks about how she's his words, super consistent thinker. She's the same every day. She's very competitive, but that consistent mindset leads to consistent results for her, for this team, for this season, and any different role that she enters, whether she starts, middle relief, comes in late.
Lauren Johnson foul down the left field line.
Her velocity is also up from last year when she was at North Carolina. They were looking back at film whenever she pitched against Georgia Tech, preparing for that game, and saw Lily Backus pitching, and she's about 59, 60 miles an hour, and now she's hitting 64, 65. And then she has that changeup to go along with it too. And you can tell too that changeup is just such a good pitch for her because she doesn't change anything. You can't tell in her windup and her arm speed and her release at all that it's coming. She disguises it so well.
1-2. Slow roller. Armistead chose to go to second and won't make the play. So now 2 on and nobody out, and Bama will go back to the top of the order with Jenna Johnson.
Yeah, kind of a slow, weird developing play. Even off the bat, it seemed like it came off the bat weird, and Armistead was trying to get a read on it. You can see the spin, and Kuma comes over to cover second, but she's not even on second base. Didn't look like her right foot was even touching second base for the force out, so not sure if Kuma was communicating to go to second base for the force or telling Armistead to just go one, but that's where that communication on defense is so important to try to get it out there.
And Armistead and Kuma have played a lot of games together up the middle of the infield. So Tony Baldwin comes out, 2 on and nobody out for the first time today for Alabama. And Patrick Murphy told us in their 4-2 loss last night, Amanda, they just didn't put together enough timely at-bats. Georgia won that category. Here's a timely at-bat for Bama down 7. Nobody out, 2 on, top 5. And Jenna Johnson at the top of the order. Ooh, and takes one right off the elbow guard. Bases loaded now for Callie Haviland.
And I think Coach Baldwin is potentially asking about pitch location here. And just as a reminder, if the pitch ball is, I might be actually reviewing it or asking for a review, but if the ball is completely in the batter's box, you do not have to attempt to get out of the way.
Ruling on the field is that the batter was hit by the pitch and gets first base. Georgia's challenging the ruling on the field. Plays under further review.
in this situation, it's not did she get hit or didn't she get hit, because clearly she got hit by a pitch, but we're so looking at the location of the pitch to see if that pitch was in the river or potentially even could have been over the plate. And in that instance, you do have to make an attempt to get out of the way if the pitch is located in the river.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The batter gets first base.
And also you can't move into the pitch, so that would be something as well that they could be looking at, that Tony would ask them, did she move into the pitch? You cannot do.
I'm loving these quick reviews, by the way.
It's almost like they had that one queued up in
We're
Birmingham,
in and out.
and they knew that was going to get reviewed, and they already had an answer ready for these umpires here. Big opportunity here for
Huge.
Alabama.
Evelyn homered last night, remember, in the 5th. Has the bases loaded here with nobody out. Junior from Three Rivers, Michigan. And her head coach, Patrick Murphy, believes she is capable of hitting 15 homers or more this year.
Yeah, and you see that changeup thrown there by Lily Backus. It is just the ultimate pitch in any situation, and Coach Tony Baldwin calls it her get out of jail free card is that changeup. And right now, if she was able to wiggle out of this inning, bases loaded, no outs, it really would be.
0-2 gets a strikeout, her 7th.
It's impressed me today that she has had multiple different strikeout pitches. It's not just been all about her changeup or about a rise ball like she just struck out Hevlin on. It's been her curveball, rise, and that change. Had strikeouts on all 3 of those different pitches.
A strikeout in every inning so far today. Now taking on Abby Dukeshire, who singled in her last at bat against Backus. Dukeshire leading the team in hits and homered against Florida and Florida State coming into the series. Lines one down the line and left and foul.
Dukeshire, what a powerful swing on a pitch that was trying to get in on her hands. Look at how off the plate this pitch is, and she almost was able to keep that a fair ball.
Well, you said it earlier, Amanda. Patrick Murphy told us her biggest improvement is her strength this season.
I mean, that pitch was off the plate, and you saw how it just flew off of her back, kept her hands in tight to her body.
Lays off the 1-2, just missing, and you can see by Backus's reaction she didn't agree with the call.
Not at all, and to me that's a strike. What a pitch by Lily Backus. Goes to the changeup right on the outside corner. I don't know where that missed. You get spot much better than that.
2-2, fly ball to center. Again, Goodnight trying to shield the sun and can't get there. 1 run is in. Here comes another for Bama, and the Tide plate 2. Second time this game that we've seen Goodnight struggle to locate in center field, staring right up at the sun here in Athens.
I believe both were off the bat of Dukeshire, if I'm not mistaken. That ball goes so high, you can tell she's even just kind of willing Sydney Chambly to come over and try to catch it instead, coming from a different angle. But sun gets in the way of Dallas Goodnight again, and Alabama again able to capitalize it with a couple of runs.
Doesn't always have to be pretty, does it? Get runners on board, apply pressure.
And the part that if I'm Lily Backus, I'm just kicking myself is that I thought I had the strikeout on the pitch before, where the ball didn't have to get put into play. We didn't have to worry about the sun. I threw the perfect changeup on the outside corner, didn't get the call, and instead next pitch, Alabama gets 2 runs.
Another high pop-up. This will stay in the infield. And Mosley calmly makes the play.
And the other part of that too, those 2 runs, is that now Georgia was thinking, all right, if we can hold Alabama to the score now, maybe in the bottom of the 5th, we can put a run on the board and end this one early. And with Alabama scoring 2, now Georgia only ahead by 5, trying to chase that run roll by 8.
Bailey Dowling, slow tapper foul, has lined out and struck out. One of 7 strikeouts today for Lily Backus. 2 on and 2 down. That was close to you having to make a play, partner. Landed in the booth next door.
Wasn't even worried, didn't even flinch. Gals next to me did, a little bit.
I don't know if they have your playing pedigree. That caught a piece of Bailey Dowling. And now again, the bases are loaded for the Tide.
Bailey Dowling not even on top of the plate, but this curveball just comes in and gets her. Again, Alabama has the bases loaded.
Got a piece of the uniform. Patrick Murphy may be making an adjustment here. Yes, he will bring in a pinch runner at first base.
Official attendance here today, by the way, over 2,300, and that's, you know, without those outfield bleachers that Georgia has had in the past that they had to take down.
McKay Gidley at first. Cahalan right back to the circle. Backus flips to first. Sydney Kuma leads it off for Georgia. Remember, this game was started by Jayla Torrance. Went 1 inning. Then we saw Jocelyn Brisky, who had to exit early with some apparent discomfort during warm-ups in between innings. And that gave way to Ailey Johnson. Johnson last inning gave up a pair of runs on 1 hit, walked a pair, and the walks have really hurt this Alabama pitching staff today. 5 in the game, and in all the innings that we saw walks, Georgia capitalized with runs scored.
Yeah, that's a great point. All of them have come around to score. And props to Georgia for taking advantage of those free passes and capitalizing on it.
3-2 to Kuma. Into left field, high fly ball at the wall, gone! 3rd homer of the day for the Georgia Bulldogs.
What makes them so dangerous is that they have opposite field power and they have pull power. This is another changeup that just doesn't quite look slow enough. And so Sydney Kuma able to get on time with it, and a towering shot into the construction, the new facility that's out there in left field. Looks like we're going to have another pitching change.
Patrick Murphy out of the Alabama dugout. And his staff, who had the top ERA in the SEC coming into the weekend, has run into the hottest hitting team in the SEC. And part of the reason this game today was so important for Alabama, Amanda, is because they lost their opening SEC series 2-1 against Florida. Hard hit ball to center and down for a base hit for Sidney Chamblee. And you talked about it with me before the series. It's so hard to win the SEC if you drop your first 2 series in a league that is just filled with top 25 teams.
Well, we're used to seeing Alabama and Florida having the history of the SEC win SEC regular season championship after regular season championship, but the SEC has just gotten stronger over the course of the past 10 years, and other teams want in on that SEC championship trophy action. They want in on a tournament title, and top to bottom, I feel like collectively this is the strongest that the SEC has been in a long time. You're looking at teams that you're used to seeing more toward the bottom, like a Mississippi State, like a Missouri for several of those years. And now Missouri is a top 15, maybe even a top 10 team. Then Mississippi State is now a top 25 team, a top 20 team. So the strength of the SEC has just gotten better and better.
And yet, as good as Missouri has been this year, they got run ruled last night by Tennessee. Right. To your point about how difficult this league is on any given night, you're in for a dogfight. Armistead to left field, charging on is Johnson, and produces the first out of the inning for Alabama.
It just seems like Georgia is seeing the ball so well this week, going back to their midweek against Georgia Tech, a team that is on a bit of a win streak coming in here to Athens and has put together a good season. And Georgia just continue to put runs on the board. They did the same thing last night as well as today. And even Jayla Torrance had not even given up a home run this season.
First pitch swinging. A liner up the middle for Goodwin. And there's 2 on.
Attacking that mistake that was left up in the zone from Salter. Salter more of a drop ball pitcher, so if you see her leaving pitches that are more up in the zone there, they're going to get hit hard.
So now Tyler Ellison will come in Emily Digby's spot. We just saw Jaden Goodwin hit for Sarah Gordon. 2 on and 1 down here. And again, remember the run rule is leading by 8 or more after 5 innings. And that caught a piece of Ellison, and that loads the bases for Dallas Goodnight.
Just so many options on this Georgia roster, so much depth. Coach Baldwin said this might be the best roster in Georgia history, 1 to 23 that we have. A lot of options to bring off the bench that just caught the back of her foot. And with a couple of mistakes that Dallas Goodnight has made in this game, you know she wants to try to end it right here.
No doubt.
Game-winning run at second base.
Rolls it through the right side of the infield. 1 run is in. Here comes another, and it is over in Athens. Dallas Goodnight walks it off. It's over.
Yeah, yeah, huh, yeah, yo, let's talk about change and the progress we make in the journey of life. It's the path we take from the old to the new. We're ever evolving in the cycle of growth. We keep evolving. Change can be daunting, it can make us afraid, but it's also the fuel for the progress we made. Through the twists and turns, we learn to adapt and embrace the changes without looking back. Change and progress, they go hand in hand in the journey of life, where we make our stand. With every step forward, we leave the past behind, in the pursuit of progress in the depths of our mind. From the inventions of old to the technologies of today, we're constantly innovating in every single way. From the streets we walk to the skies we soar, progress is the engine that drives us more. But progress isn't always linear, it's a winding road with ups and downs and unexpected loads. Yet through perseverance and determination strong, we push through the challenges where we belong. Change and progress, they go hand in hand in the journey of life, where we make our stand. With every step forward, we leave the past behind, in the pursuit of progress in the depths of our mind. So as we embrace change and strive for progress, let's remember the journey and all that we possess. For in the dance of change and the song of progress, we'll find our purpose and our hearts will digress. Yeah, in the melody of life, let's keep moving on, in the pursuits of progress where we belong. For in the journey of change and the path we trod, we'll find our way forward to the promise of God.